then we just see it
Right.
Someone's logged in online.
What's that?
We have a viewer.
Someone logged in online?
A remote
Nice.
Tobias Rosenberger 7 just said nice.
viewer. And you beat Scott.
Welcome, Tobias. Hi, everybody. Welcome to New York City Patching Circle. My name is Matt Romine. This is usually hosted by Sophie Yuditskaya, who is an ITP alum, but she can't be here tonight. Come on in. So I took over for the night. We usually do this about once every month or 2 months, depending on how busy we get. And we usually invite people that are either Max MSP programmers or pure data programmers, or just something more in the graphical data flow kind of programming environment background to show off some projects. And then we also tend to just kind of hang out afterwards. People can kind of talk shop and meet other people doing this. And this is going to be pretty informal. We have Tommy Martinez, who's going to talk about granular synthesis, convolution, reverb. And then we have Rob Ramirez, who is going to talk about video puppetry using Jitter. And like I said, it's informal. If you have any questions, just raise your hand or even just ask the question. And then we'll probably all hang out afterwards. So. Cool. You want to take it away?
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Patching Circle. This is my first PowerPoint. There's just like a few slides in it. Most of it's in Max, but here's my cover thing. So basically, I'm a guitarist. I use Max to process live guitar. And this is basically kind of like my signal flow. Guitar, I go into an audio interface, firewire into a laptop where Max stuff happens, and then back out from the interface into some guitar pedals and into the amp and out through the amplifiers. That gives you kind of like an idea of like the wires and hardware things involved. But this is kind of like the latest patch I've been using to process my sound. It's called the Triple Percolator, and I'm gonna take you through some of these features. It's basically granular synthesis and does convolution reverb using the hiss tools objects, which are available and are awesome for doing the convolution reverb. And I'll kind of talk about all these little things, but basically, I think pretty much everybody here is going to be familiar with most like the Max stuff, or I'll go into some detail, but it records, can record into up to 3 buffers, and you can control like how dense the grains are, how sparse they are, different things like size of the grains, and you could retune them up or down 2 octaves, and do some stuff based on probability as well. So this is it. Basically just some real basic stuff, like, you can choose, what sound input you're using. So usually my FireWire interface will pop up here and I'll be able to select that to get sound from the guitar or whatever instrument you're processing. But for now, we'll just use built-in microphone, and this little thing will control like the dry gain. So if I turn it up, you'll hear should hear me through the speakers, and then feedback if I turn it up too much. So I'm just going to mute that for right now because I'm going to record a little bit into it, and we're also going to talk about. I said I was going to talk a little about some of the foot controllers that I use. This is a Keith McMillan foot controller, 12-step on loan from my good friend Adriano here. I used to use this guy, which is like an Arduino-based one, and I spent I don't know how many months trying to figure out how to make Arduino code and solder these buttons together. And then Adriano showed me this, and it has 6,000 more features, and and it's what, a couple $100 or something like that. Yeah. So and it's great. It's got cool lights.
But you didn't make it.
You know what? Yeah, but I didn't make it. But I'd much rather be playing guitar, doing figuring out how to make cool sounds.
You can put stickers on. Make your own.
Yes. mod it. So basically I'll just like record a little bit, put some silence in there, and then I can stop it. Oh, I can also instead just like use the controller as well. And then I'm gonna turn back up the audio, and that's kind of what it sounds like. With I can clear the buffer as well with one which one is one of them. I forgot. But basically with like more harmonic like guitar content, it sounds a little bit different. But so talk a little bit. And basically what's going on is if I turn this down to 1, we can kind of get a clear picture of what's happening. This is how long these little snippets of sound will be. So they're a little bit longer here than they are here. This is 25 milliseconds. And basically, like, if you wanted a good primer on granular synthesis, a book I recommend is what's it called, Microsound by Curtis Rhodes. And in that, you'll get kind of like some of the variables that you will commonly have to like think about when you want to do this kind of stuff. And one of the main ones is going to be, how big these grains are. Usually they're between, or commonly between 25 milliseconds and 100, because anything less than that, your ear doesn't perceive it as a pitch. But you certainly can use any size you want. So then this is the probability that a new grain will be selected. So the higher this is, the more it will jump around inside this buffer, looking for a new grain to play. This will freeze it, so it's somewhere in the silent part of the in the buffer, so you're not going to hear a new sound. And then you can pitch it up octaves or down. It's not going to be very audible, but there it is. Of course, there's 3 of them here, so you can do, so I can like layer, like play some kind of like note into one of these things, and then play like another note that is harmonically like correct with that one. So yeah, basically I'm using poly to use the to do the density stuff. So poly is a great way, like once you have like some great max patch that you really like that does the thing exactly the way you want it to do, poly is a great way of like copying that out without actually having to like copy and paste like that bit of max patch out and make it patch really big. It's like a really good dynamic way to like multiply that out. So inside of it is like the engine that runs it. Basically what's happening, it's using Groove to do the playback and being windowed with this wave object. Like a window is going to be like another variable of our granular synthesis. And in the future, I want to be able to also change the different windows. Like you can have different kind of windows to make different kinds of sounds. But basically what's happening is a random location for the groove object is coming in here, and it's going to send out the playback speed, which will also decide the pitch, into the groove object. And all this stuff as well, it's all like stuff I just copy and pasted from help files. It's none of it is like not easily within grasp. So like for all the pitch stuff, all those things are right here, but I'm just like using the numbers that are like octaves. And then for syncing it with that window, I'm just using this stuff here. And instead of like syncing like 2 like drum loops together, I'm syncing like that windowing thing. So that window is, it's multiplying those 2 signals together so that we get like a smooth, so we're like basically getting rid of like clicks and pops and stuff like that. Yeah, and like I guess like where the kind of neat part of it, the part that I like the most out of it is this kind of like probability-based stuff here that's like choosing which, if there's a new grain or not. So in here it'll tell you when it reaches the beginning of the loop, and it'll send out a bang. And what's happening, as soon as it reaches the beginning, it will stop everything. It'll send a 0 out to the playback, and everything will stop. It'll then choose a random number, and if that's below the threshold, or like the probability threshold that you set in the main patch, then it will trigger this reaction here, which will then choose a new random place in the buffer. If it's not below that threshold, it will then just play that same little snippet of sound again. Yeah, so let me go back to my thing so I figure out what I'm talking about again. Yeah, so things I wanted to add was like a panning per grain. I think that would, like another one of these little dudes would allow me to, like spatialize things a little bit better. Change the grain windows I was talking about, and then do like other types of effects like time stretching by not just playing, but like doing more like linear playback of the buffer and not just like skipping around in it. So it's just like, if I play around with it a little bit more, you can. Cool. I can't play with it. I'm gonna say. Oh, I have to mirror or something like that. Oh, I can do this now. And then this is the convolution reverb stuff, which I'll talk more about. So, like instantly, reverb just makes anything sound better. So it's just like, obviously, like it goes like you had to put it in. I don't know, I got really into like impulse responses for another project that I was doing that's not Max related. But once I started, figuring out how to do it in Max, I thought I was like, I just really wanted to add it to this thing. But it's like completely different. And basically, I just like search on the internet for free impulse responses, and they all have different characters, and you can make your own, which is something that I was really interested in. And I kind of got the idea. Jesus, let's just go. Slideshow. Maybe slideshow. Yeah, and this is like where the inspiration for the name of the triple percolator came from. It sounds exactly like it. Wait. You have to stop it because you have to hear it. Yeah, it was uploaded by Mr. Patton.
Is it like a musical bong?
No, just listen. It does granular synthesis.
That seems to be a much easier way.
You don't need computers.
Yeah.
This is the original, so it's based on the same kind of technology. So that's what that's pretty much the triple perc. But just I guess we already kind of talked about it, but I'm just like I shouldn't have said like I was gonna like explain convolution reverb because I'm not. I'm just like gonna talk about it obviously because no one really knows what it is. So it's like basically. You can boil it down to like the process by which, a mathematical process by which the character of one sound can be applied to another. So using impulse responses, we can take the reverb of one space, so this is what it's commonly used for, to affect the dry input of another, giving it life. So yeah, it does, like, it takes out of that kind of like digital kind of like just kind of glitchy like DSP stuff and gives it kind of like a soul. Like you can make it sound like, you know, it's in a big warm wooden room. So yeah, common way to produce the IR is to record the attack and decay of click being played from a loudspeaker. So like if you clap, you know, that sound, the attack and decay is like the particular character of this room. In a church, you know, that clap will, you know, take forever to decay. And like one thing I was really interested was taking impulse responses of not churches or like beautiful places, but like shitty places, because you know those places that are under, you know, that you don't, you know, they're weirder. They'll have like a weirder. They don't have like a beautiful. I just want to collect these things.
So the files you're downloading are just sound files that of
Yeah.
a click in that space.
Mm-hmm.
That's
But could it be anything?
it could be anything.
Yeah.
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 Even a real sound.
Yeah.
Uses it.
Yeah.
You could like apply like a 20-minute sound file. Like,
Yeah, let me.
So these are.
It's just. Can I say something real quick?
Yes, please.
Just about convolution, because it's just combining like sort of like the spectral anomalies.
This
of
is-
sounds. But when you combine it with that, you hear that room.
Mhm.
So you put it's like putting a sound in the room. But you can mix like a pop song with a monologue you do over the course of 5 minutes and see what happens.
Are you using like a starter pistol or something?
No, these are not mine. These are ones you can like find these online. Yeah. This one is mine, Dwayne Reed.
Yeah.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
Sounds like Dwayne.
And then this is like
Dwayne Reed.
this is like what we were talking about, was like anything could be one. So I was playing around with, you know, the patch and then just like recording the output of the patch and just seeing what things sounded like with this, you know, weird IR, and you can make, you know, a collection of those. So yeah, I mean, like basically, let's just go back to, I made a new slide. So basically, yeah, this is like my process for making the IR. You just find, you know, places like this. Now that you know, like you'll see balloon slings everywhere. Or like today I saw a balloon sling truck drive by on the way over here. You just buy some balloons.
Wait, who's taking these photos?
George. And you know, you go and you get your field recorder ready, and you go to Dwayne Reed, and you go inside and you try to find a nice quiet place. You tell the you don't want to scare anybody, right?
Right.
So you tell them, you know, hey, I'm gonna pop a balloon down here, like, don't be alarmed. Everybody was really cool. That we did 3 Dwayne Reeds, and that was the best one we got. And then, you know, you get, like, I'm using a paper clip, but you can use a needle, or whatever. And then you can see the blast hit my face. So look at that.
How close are you miking it?
Well, that's another thing you can experiment with. But this one, like the mic is, I think I can actually see the mic.
Oh, you put it in a shelf.
Yeah, put it in a shelf, and that's probably not the best place for it at all. Yeah,
You're kind of involved with the sound of the shelf reacting,
right.
which is fine.
And you know,
That was the best.
so thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Oh yeah, this is like, you can hear some of the music that I make, you know, on Spooky Robot on SoundCloud. And this is like some projects that I do for other people using Max and Jitter. And like workshops that I do in Max and Jitter. And that's like some of my music stuff as well.
Could you describe a little about like how you would use it in a performance setting? Like, are you ever using like pre-made samples, or is it all like live and you're just grabbing buffers and replacing them?
It's all just playing guitar, and then this is using a triple percolator. So that stuff you hear underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
is that stuff. So like this at the end, this is all pretty much with guitar over it. So I use it also. I use it, try to use it subtly and like not make it like. And there's also other pedals involved, and it's just kind of something that like pedals don't do. I don't want to make like a delay patch because I have a delay pedal or a distortion patch or whatever. I have like another like this stuff is all done using like a time stretching like patch that I have, because there's no like pedal that I can buy. Maybe there is, I don't know, but it's easier. I wanted to make this, and it's not as common to find a pedal that will do this. Then yeah.
Awesome.
All right. That's it.
Anybody else have any questions?
Nate, yeah. Good to see you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Matt.
Tommy. We'll probably take like a 5-10 minute break while Rob sets up. And yeah, if anyone needs to get on the internet or anything, if you have your computers out, all the access info is on these sheets of paper here. Yeah, but I think there's bathrooms down. If you take a right and another right, there are bathrooms that way. Otherwise, there's water at a sink over there. But yeah, we'll be back in like 5 or 10 minutes.
I want to unplug this. Thanks for coming. Huh? I know, I hear you. And then
So are you gonna make it once for blind version?
yeah, man, I'll make it for you. I mean, no,
You should, because the only thing I was thinking is also for the reverse function.
Oh yeah, I want to do like yeah,
That
play
can sound
the
pretty
game.
cool.
Yeah.
Although with the reverb, it's like spacing stuff.
No, yeah, that's certainly something I wanted to add. All right.
Is it like auto-focusing?
Oh, weird, yeah.
That's freaky. Is you?
Yes. Thank you.
Don't forget to speak into the giant snowball.
You gotta put that Cody series up on Tumblr or something. That was amazing.
I think I'm going to use it for this project that I'm working on, impulse responses.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That was like 5 hours to me.
It was. It is. It's very conceptual.
It is conceptual.
What I'm doing is I'm putting like really nice places inside, like Dwayne Reed or McDonald's.
That's really awesome.
Really fun. I've got a few. I'll show you. It's not on the internet yet. How's it going, man?
Alright, man. How you doing?
Good to see you. You're in the area, right?
I was a short walk away from it.
Yeah.
Did you know that we were working together?
No, it
He's
is
part of the company.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know each other.
Yeah, through the Apple. I've been from running Apple eating apples.
It's great all days.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It's Max. Because you're in Naples.
I want to, I
You're
just
in
don't know.
Naples.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it through.
Kind of like combining forces. So
Yeah, he's a man of many talents.
Oh.
You do, yeah, like this visual design
Yeah,
stuff.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I know.
Design.
Well, I know it's going to start.
Right. That's cool. I'm looking forward to. Yeah, we should get this.
Totally, that's like just every time we're all like
Yeah.
talk about how we can take over.
Yes.
Because I want to see you. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's fine too.
Yeah. I definitely want to see that and see if we can like, if you're interested.
I am interested. Adriano and I are working on it together. So
Oh yeah. You
yeah.
look at the video stuff together.
Yeah. We are working on that together. So that would be something that.
That's what we're talking about. Maybe.
Okay.
We saw maybe set up a time.
Yeah.
Hang on, talk about
Definitely.
that. Adriano. Hey, thanks for being here. No, it's cool.
Thank you.
Matt, you should let me
Two ideas.
I love that.
Who's your friend who wrote Sophie?
Yeah.
Let her know that.
So, what I see,
Yeah.
She made
You want
a Yeah, or I mean, either way. No,
That would be, I come and talk. You're right.
like, running a very informal process. I'd like to think of it as a salon, like, everybody's just like, greatest mind and coming together.
I support that wholeheartedly. Well, if you're running it, let me know. You're more than happy.
Yeah.
You're gonna get stuff I'm seeing on Facebook.
I bought your I felt like when you showed us, man, it's good to
You're good though. You're just like getting hot. And I think I was just gonna use it. I use Codebox for everything now.
Yeah. It was like the shaders.
I mean, that's I would like to see how you're doing that.
Yeah.
I'm using it to just create fun feeds and mess. Oh, but you're just doing straight to the gen.
Yeah. It works out very well.
what I do?
I think also,
Like me,
Where did you get these from?
This is all more cosmetics. He just has all these crazy things and like literally I just post like all this and he kind of showed me the trick. Like that and I have to figure out like how to write exponential things.
I can call that I usually copy stuff straight from GL SL Sandbox.
Yeah.
I think we had looked at that actually. Or
That was what you were showing me. Like, that's still a little, I don't know, we can put together some time, like, I'll teach you this. And
We'll do some spots. Yeah, totally. That'd be awesome actually.
What is that? I see an apple.
No, I want to make
I see an apple. I don't want to let somebody else.
It's too beautiful to try. You want it's
It's reacting right now, or?
No, it's just, it's all randomized. So it's using audio signals to like, you came all the way over here just to look at it.
we can make it react in like 2 seconds if you want.
No, I mean, I'll send you the patch.
Yeah.
If you want to play with it. Like, I want to set it up with like a whole bunch of like, either getting the multiple or getting different like meshes and then like playing with like the draw form and then like.
It'd be very cool to have a main mount section and jam on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You're all good to go?
it's, you know,
It's all working and everything?
I don't know, we'll see. We kind of just have to go through it and see what comes up. Sort of have no idea what about this project, so.
I love
Well, check her out. Hey everybody, we are ready to start back up again. So I am going to hand it over to Rob Ramirez, who's going to show us his video puppetry patch.
Yeah, alright, well, so, I'm just going to, this is just like a super complicated and ridiculous thing that was made to facilitate a super complicated and ridiculous show. Basically, I work with this guy, Phil Sultanoff, and he had this idea of taking everything that William Shatner said in the Star Trek series and sampling it and using it to kind of basically create a video puppet. So that's what we did. It was a long process, of course, and it had many different stages. I guess I'll kind of talk through that a little bit before we got to this stage here. basically, we started kind of like with large clips of the show. So he would watch an episode and maybe just capture like 10 clips that were anywhere from 10 seconds to 2 minutes to 5 minutes long of Captain Kirk. And then we got a bunch of interns to transcribe those. There's some transcriptions online, so they weren't actually doing it all by hand, but it was very tedious. I had to build this app that would sort of, we basically made a big database of all these clips. So maybe that's an interesting. So here's the clips folder. So you see there's season 1, disc 1, episode 1, a bunch of clips. And this all just got fed into a database that I made. Ooh, nice one.
That wouldn't be good for him right now.
That's a good one. I've never used that before. I love that. So using Max, you can build a database, and this stuff is real boring. So I don't know how much we're going to talk about that, but you use JavaScript to do that. So somewhere here there might actually be, so OpenDB, there's this kind of built-in database engine called SQLite, and there's some JavaScript messages that communicate with it. Somewhere in here, I think, is where I actually build the tables in the database. Maybe, maybe not. That might be another JavaScript file. But anyways, if anyone's ever seen SQL, it's this kind of crap. Create table if not exists, and then you define a bunch of fields, and then you can search it. So that's basically what we did. We tagged these clips up with different things, but it was basically just the words that Shatner spoke in that clip, and then those got all plugged in. And from there, we were able to make what we called a dictionary of words that he actually said, and we sort of printed those all out and gave those to our writer, this other guy we were working with, as sort of like the possible words that he could use to write this script for this piece, which was basically just going to be a one-man show of this character who we call William Shatner Asterisk, and he gives this speech on art and technology in the future. And we had different ideas about how we wanted to do. At first we thought it was going to be kind of like this real ridiculous, silly thing, and he was going to like be stuttering and glitching out, and we were going to have to be like furiously trying to like bang on MIDI keyboards to make him talk, and he would maybe like tell jokes to the audience and all this crap. But once we got the first sort of versions of the script from our writer, and we first started making Shatner talk, it became clear that that was not what this piece was, and it turned into this other thing. I'm not going to really talk about it too much. You have to kind of see it. But so the dictionary was spit out, these words, and the guy took the words, and then we realized we needed more words, so we learned how to like combine work. We learned how to combine small words to make bigger words. So this very kind of first thing here, we needed to say transition, and he says transference. I think he says transference a lot, and he says maybe transport a lot. So we took I don't know. Let's see what this is actually. Transport. And then technician. And I just chopped it off halfway through. And if I fix that. So so we learned that we could make words, and then it was just a process of really fine tuning the words. So this thing is just this monster of a thing where to do all these different things that we need to do. This is sort of like a view of the database itself and all the stuff that's in the database. And then basically every clip, if it's being used, we store like time points in the clip of where the word are and what word it is that we're using and where it starts. And then I created these basically like sequence files. And it's just, it starts at the top and goes down, and it has which word, we have like 16 versions of him saying 24 versions of a trance word, 5 versions of a listen word. So this basically says which word it is, the length of the word, how much we want to trim the start or stop, this sort of thing called overlap, which is just sort of this timing thing. And that's probably, I don't even think I use this other stuff. And then you can just sort of play it. The thing you have to do is actually go through it one time to load all the, there's the first time it encounters a clip that it hasn't loaded, it has to like search for the clip on the disk, and that takes time, so it doesn't really play back smoothly until you actually load them. And then, because this is a 32-bit app, you run out of memory after, I don't know, 300 clips or so. So then it'll crash. So you basically have to, I could only do like 2 minutes at a time, 2 minutes of me talking at a time, and then I'd have to like shut down and restart. So let's see what that says.
From you not listen to me. Listen to me.
So he said, a transition from not listening to me to listening to me. We actually, we used subtitles when we did the piece that just, translated what he said. And then after, the piece is like 50 minutes long, and it's split up into 5 sections. And after the 5th section, everyone, hopefully everybody actually, it's like listening to somebody with a heavy accent. Like at first you don't know what they're saying, but after you sort of get used to it, the way they talk, you understand them more. So we took the subtitles away after the last section, and it was kind of cool how that works. But I can actually make them say things. It's a really stupid way that this works, but so I can like put a word in, and I think I click that button, and then it comes up. My color scheme's all messed up. I can't see anything, but I think it came there. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I said okay. Let's see what this is. Example of me talking. Do I? Okay, so it only add the word if it finds it. So here's all the words that we have in the database. Of course, we can make words. We can make it say whatever we want, but these are the actual words. So so then I have to go in and sort of fine tune it.
Okay.
That one's fine.
This professor.
So that's that. This.
This easy. Stick. Big time.
This is.
That's all. This.
That one's not bad.
This. Okay. This. Machine.
Is are
Working
tough.
here.
The short words.
Is.
Oh, great. The short words are generally
Is.
harder.
This. Is. For example.
Nice.
For example.
nature of your accident.
Whoops. So I have to
The nature. Down. Down.
I have to trim. So basically, I have a start point and then a length, and I can just
Sound.
and then there's like a length of time before the next word starts, and that's how you sort of build the rhythm of him talking.
Start.
Let's see, of.
Wait. Oh, red. Guy? No. Chest. Do you have this bit? You got the end?
I know there's one in there. Sure.
Weaver. Yeah. Elliot. Last week. Excuse me. In the breathe.
Actually, that excuse me is a good
Excuse
one.
me. In the breathe.
Hold on.
Elliot inside. Elliot inside. Brand.
What did he say in there?
The brandy.
He says, "Give me the brandy." I forgot.
The brandy.
There it is. Neat.
Talking about.
Talking.
Talking about.
There's a better talking.
Talking.
That's pretty good.
Talking. Talking. Talking.
And then we. So let's see if that works.
Okay. This is sound. Me talking.
Woo! Hey. Yeah, all right. Thank you. So that's that.
Can you let it loose just randomly?
Can you what?
Can it just like randomly just like explore the clips? Like, is that a possibility?
Yeah, I mean it is. There was actually a moment where I was constantly fighting with these files. These are these what are called JSON files. Let's see if I can open one up. And they look like this. These are the sequence files. And I was constantly having problems because, I have to make this thing that can edit them and remove and all this crap. And then a lot of it I would just do by hand. And so one day it got all borked and he started talking gibberish and it was amazing. And we actually we didn't use that exactly, but that inspired this whole final section of the piece. The problem is, if I just do it randomly, it only works if it starts at the word and stops at the other at the end of the word. So you kind of have to. I could take all the words that we actually use that I've fine tuned and randomly let him talk, and it would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I can't do it right now, but
Right.
yeah, it's but otherwise it doesn't quite work because it's just like, yeah, well, sure, whatever. But when he's like, hey, you don't from future, it's kind of cool.
So when you perform with this, is it all pre-recorded?
Oh yeah. This is the creation of the actual performance is another max patch. It's way simpler. It's just there's some kind of performance elements that happen, but for the most part, it's just these files. So sure, let's see.
Before you move on, though, you said that initially people found words through transcription. That was just all manual, right? That wasn't a max. You didn't isolate anything.
Oh yeah, no.
And then, I'm sorry. And then the clips that you have that represent words. How did you come up with whatever the time code or whatever for that? Is that? I mean, it's rough. It's not.
So it's all manual.
It's all manual.
It was this process of this. This is the section where let's see. Oof, I don't know how this works. You load. Don't I I think. I don't remember how this works. What the fuck would we do? Oh, so we had these. So we had big chunks of text, right? And as we're as we get the script back, I don't need to fine tune every single word he ever said. We just needed to know what word he said, so we know what we had to use. So then we would get the scripts, and I'd get a section of the script, and I'd say, okay, I need to find the word future, and I would go here, and I would type future, and then I'd get a list of all the clips that he said it. I would just kind of like roughly find the point, and that would go in the database. Then I could go back here, I could put future in, and then I could sort of quickly like find the one that worked and play with them, and then play it in the sequence, and that's what the process was. Yeah, it was very manual and kind of meticulous and retarded because it broke all the time. But it worked. Let's see.
Transition from not listen to me to listen to me. Bad transition. 2 minutes ago, you were not listening to me, and now you are. We in the transfer of time. I would start speaking, and that would be another transition. Maybe that's a transition. But not right now. Right now, I have something to tell you. You could call it a transition. A transition about the future. Your future. Where you are going. I'm sure you'd like to know. You want to know where you are going. Or maybe you don't. Whether or not you do. Or you don't. I can tell you now that you already know. You already know where you are going. I am only here to tell you that you know already. Excuse me. I am transitioning into this transition.
Anyway, so that's how it starts. I don't know how much of that was intelligible. So yeah, that's that. I'm happy to talk about this. I brought another project to show too.
I'm curious, like, since you work a lot in theater and live performance, like, where the project's going in the sense that now that you're showing this work in like a live performance context, but just pre-recorded video, like it's really not different than like a film screening, right?
No, I mean the performance itself. If it was just the video, that's all. We would just play the video. But the performance is actually on stage. There is a TV that's on a stand that rolls, and then we have a movement performer who sort of acts as his sort of conduit to this world, and she actually has these sort of choreographed movements. She moves the TV around, and there's a moment where she actually speaks. There's like a moment where we actually play a clip from Star Trek. There's the subtitle screens, and then there's the lights and all these theatrical elements that sort of make the piece more than just a video being played. Yeah, but as far as my performance, I wouldn't really call this much of a performance. There's certain cues that happen. I have to she and I sort of kind of work together to build this sort of rhythm, because there's like pauses that are inserted and emphasis added and sort of all these things like that. And that was all that's the director had all this sort of input into that. But the piece itself, the video itself is interesting, but it's sort of just like a YouTube video that you see of we saw when we were making this, we ran across a few, like there's one of like a cooking one where it's like, all this sexual innuendo from a cooking show that they make. There's a few others that I've seen that are like pretty funny, but they're just silly YouTube videos. And so I think this piece is super interesting because of the script and the way we present it, in the performance, and the way we sort of like reveal things and all that. So yeah, the performance, my performance is not that interesting at all. But
And what's in store for the piece? Like, is it have a
Um,
premiere or?
Yeah, we're going to LA in September, and that's as much as I know right now. We did a tour this winter, and we were at Coil Festival, which is this festival that happens in New York, and got some good reviews and this crap, but I don't know. Like, who knows what's going to happen with it. We hope to take it to Europe or something like that, but you know, it's a very English-heavy piece, so it's hard to tell how that would actually play out there. But yeah, that's that.
I had a question.
Okay.
I really like it, by the way. That's I like the old system and the fact that you guys have to build this database and everything.
Uh-huh.
I noticed that most of the words, or better, the little section of video that you were playing back, are without music. And I assume you would actually cut all the words that are kind of empty from the musical background of the Star Trek
Yeah,
series.
that was actually really interesting. That was part of our process of discovering what this piece was I thought that we could only use words that didn't, and it's so wrong. It's all the little blips and blurbs and all the because it's Star Trek. There's like this amazing assortment of sounds of the doors opening and like this kind of constant tone that they have. It's the ship engine or whatever the hell it is, and the bleeps, and then the cheesy music. Adds so much to the thing, and the way it just kind of like chops off. And so we actually really focused on having a really good sound with like a subwoofer, because like a lot of the bass would like when he says certain words, and then that sort of emphasizes the rhythm, because there's a lot of repetition of him saying things. There's phrases that are repeated and all this. It becomes quite musical. Thanks a lot to a lot of those effects that are there. So I didn't. I thought there was going to be all kinds of like manipulation, that I was going to have to like do all this EQ processing. I was going to like speed things up, slow things down, glitch things out. None of that shit. It just having him say things, and then the text itself became really interesting.
And during the performance, there is live music, or there is some sort of soundtrack for that?
No, there's no soundtrack. We have like some interludes, some music, but no, it's very dry. But it's really interesting to see that it's really a struggle for people at first, and then they really get into it, and then the script itself is really interesting. The writer Joe Deebs that wrote it. I don't know where he came up with it, but it's this really amazing kind of journey through this argument of this binary nature of humanity, and how that relates to how we create art and technology and science, and where we're going in the future, and it sort of goes on this crazy journey. So yeah, there's no music. It's just the sort of rhythm of the rhythm of the video, the text.
Any other questions?
Well, I have one actually. So
Okay.
So jump in late. So just kind of touching again on the whole like background music thing. So when you've shown this in the past, how does the just background noise play into it? Because like for example here, this is a very quiet room, right? So you can definitely notice these like pauses, especially like in certain moments.
Yeah.
Does say when you're showing it in a more kind of like live room, does that actually help kind of like smoothen the transitions from one thing being set to the other, or does it still have that characteristic?
You mean just like the reverb of a room?
Yeah, like the reverb, or even just like the noise, say like a fan. Or
Well,
a
this is all theater. It's a theater piece, so it's in a theater. It needs to be quiet, just like any theater show you see. It plays a lot with pauses, silence. There's actually a lot of silence in the piece to sort of break up, all the sort of highfalutin ideas that he has and all the talking that he does. But I don't know. It definitely sounds different in a space that has reverb and a real sound system. But this is always an interesting thing because you go to a new space and if you're a media sound guy or video guy or whatever, I always have to go and start EQing things for the piece that we're doing. But this is TV. It's all been, you can't EQ anymore. It can't get any more EQ'd than it is now. So everything just goes flat and we just play it and turn it up. We turn up the bass to, we want to hear the bass, and that's all we have to do for the thing. Yeah. Cool.
You want to show the other project you were?
I can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Everybody game for that?
Okay. This one might. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I did actually find it and make sure it worked. Kind of. Whether I can actually repeat that. Let's see. So this. Well, let me just turn it on. Let's do that. Oh, there it is. Let's turn something off. There's something that needs to go off. And then I need to okay, so this is this other piece that I made, and again, sort of a video puppet type thing. I'm sure some of you recognize the quality or the type, or what's going on here. It's a Kinect rendered image, or it's a 3D model, and then it's being it's like a 3D mesh that's based on a depth image from a Kinect. Sorry that took so long to say. Let me see if I can. Maybe I just put like a handle in here. There isn't one already, because I can't. Let's see. Where's my? Oh, there it is. Let's just do this. Think that'll work? Yay. So, yeah, you can kind of get a better idea of what, whoa, where'd she go? That's the thing. It's just like a mesh that gets extruded out. And let's put that back, because that's horrible. So this piece was for this group show where we all had a room, and then it's like a 60-minute show. People, we were in the big post office building, the giant one on 34th Street. That's this huge building that's basically empty. It's all these like offices that are not in use, and they do like film shoots there. And we were there. They had just finished the Coen Brothers movies. There was like a Coen Brothers set that was still there. That was pretty cool. But we each had a room. There was like 10 of us, and then people would kind of walk through, visit the different rooms. So I built this thing that was sort of, and it was sort of all kind of themed around, it was 2012, so it was like the apocalypse thing, end of the world was the thing. So I built this thing where people would kind of like walk in the room, and there's like these fake walls, and they sort of wandered through and found this little corner where this thing was being projected, and then there was like headphones and a microphone, and so they would sort of sit there and put the headphones on, and then it would talk to them, and it was sort of like for that I called it a confessional. They were supposed to like confess or unburden themselves before the end of the world. But in other versions of it, it's more of just like I call it reflection. We kind of like project this on a mirror, and that gets reflected on another mirror, and then on the wall. So it's sort of like these different, and then you can just sit there and talk to them, and then performers will be in another room, and so one person will be controlling the movement, and another person will be talking and responding to the person. Oh, I don't need that anymore. So just kind of see what it does. There's these different movements, I think. Oh, yay. So that's something. Not really sure what that is. Oh, sort of hand gesture. That's sort of like, I hear you, I feel you. This is like a welcome. Let's see. I think that's her saying, put the headphones on. I think it's like, pick up the microphone. Or, no, that's have a seat. I think these numbers are all off. These are good. The laughs are like kind of the best thing about it. You can see her sort of, I don't know, can you see? Yeah, that's a big belly laugh. And then she can cut. Oh shit! What is she? Oh, because.
Is it transitioning between these clips?
Yeah, I can. I'll kind of go through that real quick. If she comes back, is she? Oh yeah, there she comes. That's her coming in. Sitting. Have a seat, have a seat. Yeah, that's cool. She'll get up too, but I think I got this messed up, so it won't actually work. Anyways. And then there's just this idle, this kind of looping thing. I think there's like 2 of them. So yeah, it's all, okay, so how this thing works, it's pretty interesting, I think. So these are all recordings, so I have my model, actor, whatever you want to call it, person, and I had a Kinect camera, and then we had a whole bunch of movements, and we actually recorded a bunch of dialogue as well that was like lip synced up, and I did so much work getting the dialogue and the lip syncing working, and it was pointless because you couldn't really tell. So you could actually just talk, and if her lips weren't moving, it didn't matter, which made it much easier. But anyways, so the first thing was figuring out how to actually record this stuff, because the Kinect file, the Kinect. Does anyone know what a Kinect is? Does anyone not know what a Kinect is? Everyone knows what a Kinect is. The Kinect puts out a file that's not something that can be easily recorded as a QuickTime movie, mainly because of the QuickTime movies. Most video files store the data type as what's called char data type, which has 255 possible values, 0 to 255. That's enough for color information usually. But the Kinect is not storing color information, it's storing depth information. And so there's different ways you can get the Kinect to spit it out, but you generally are using what's called a long data type or a floating data type, which stores way more values. And the value, I don't actually know what the range of values is, maybe like 5,000, 10,000 or something like that, as far as, it's basically centimeters, I think, is about what people say the Kinect, maybe other people know this better than me, but so basically 0 centimeters in front of the camera to 10,000 centimeters. And you need all that information, because if you chop it down to just the char, you lose all this beautiful stuff in the face and the body, you just lose it all. So the thing is, I have that information because what I did was wrote I just stored image sequences. So rather than clips, movie clips, it's image sequences. So when I'm recording the thing, it's actually just every 30 frames a second, spitting into a folder that frame as a jitter matrix binary file, which is a proprietary thing of jitter, and it's just, but it stores, and every one of these frames is 1.2 megabytes, but that gives me all the information, which means I could go in and actually like change the way this thing looks. I'm not really sure how. Let's see. And you can actually see, I think I can see like the room somewhere in there. Yeah, there it is. So there's like, there, so if I get rid of her, maybe I can, somehow there's a way to, maybe this. Yeah, there's some, I don't know, there's the room. I don't know how far back it goes. But yeah, so I can actually do that after the fact rather than having to decide exactly how I want it to look. And that was really important for this thing. And I don't know how to get it back. Shit. Lost it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Anyways, so you can actually, there's different ways of fine-tuning this thing, but basically, so I get these matrices, so when I play back, it's just the same process in reverse. I just have a little counter, or like a metro that's banging a counter. I query the folder to see how many frames are in the folder, so I know how many frames there are. And then I have to like do this stupid thing to get the actual, because the frames are, they don't start at 0, they start at whatever, well that one is, what does this one start at? Okay, well, some of them don't start at 0 or 1. They start at whatever frame that I edited them to start at. And so you have to like, the 1861, I have to find like the lowest numbered frame and then start counting from there and all this crap like that. But yeah, all it does is just it just loops through and loads the frame from disk and sends it to the matrix and outputs it, and it does it 30 frames a second. So basically it works just like a movie file, and it allows you to kind of do that thing. I don't know if there's another way to do it. At some point I remember seeing some way that you can like force the QuickTime recorder to actually record long data by doing this crazy like JIT.coerce object that tells it to like treat data types differently, but I don't know about that. But this works for the most part, and you can move the thing around. Oh, there we go. So I can actually, I don't know why she got dark. I mean, you can like kind of zoom in on the face, and then you kind of zoom in on what part. So now the face, so if I sort of adjust my minimum and maximum distance, you are able to put more focus on like a smaller range of things, then you kind of get more definition in that smaller range, but you chop off everything else. And this is all just this is a JIT.pix file, which is just a way of manipulating this data, and it does a very simple clip and scale operation. So I clip, I say where do I want to start looking at the data, how far in front of the camera do I want to start and how far back do I want to stop, and that allows you to kind of define this range that you're looking at. And then you just scale that to 0 to 255, and that's how you turn it into an image. And then there's like, does that actually still work? I don't know. Yeah, and then it's just like a what is this? I don't know. Oh, this is okay. That's what that is. So there's wow, it's got some booty now. This is how you can kind of like extrude. This is basically an extrusion parameter of the mesh. You can change, this, that looks kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know, there's all kinds of stuff. This is a 3D model. That's really interesting. Oh, and then you were asking the thing about, somebody was asking how, yeah, so the transition, because they're just matrices, that's all I'm doing is spitting out matrices, so the kind of crossfade, I mean, sometimes it works better than others, is just a jit.slide. I don't know how many people know anything about jitter, but jit.slide just allows you to sort of, it's temporal interpolation, so basically allows you to fade basically between successive jitter frames, so that I wonder if I can get it back to more or less. Okay, well, kind of. So that okay, great. So that you can, if I click on a different clip. It'll sort of, kind of, I mean, there's always a little bit of a jump, but that's more just like the initial finding of files. So yeah, that one's a little better. So it's sort of, I can sort of like seamlessly transition. I mean, not seamlessly, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. Yeah, so that was that project.
So it's essentially you're turning a matrix into the grid shape and then doing the matrix output, and that goes to the mesh?
We take a matrix, we do some math to it, and then we send it to, where is it? Why did, somewhere, I don't even know. Man. Oh, here. Yeah, it's going here. The matrix comes in here, goes through slide, gets converted to a 200 by 200. Oh, and actually that can actually change a lot too. Never mind. Bad idea. Oh, he's back. That changes a lot about. So yeah, so we're doing different things. So a matrix, if you normally think about a matrix as an image matrix, the dimension is like the width and height, 640 by 480 or whatever, which is what the Connect puts out, 640 by 480. But then when you convert a matrix to a 3D shape, the dimension refers to the grid, the number of pixels, the number of vertices that are used in the 3D shape. So we convert, for this one I convert to 200 by 200, and then send that to something. That gets like sent to this another JIT gen, which is just a way of that's what does the extrusion, that's what is doing the multiplication. And that's just being multiplied with an output of a plane, a grid shape that's a shaped plane. You could actually do it with anything, any grid shape. Like if I change this, I have no idea what this will look like. If I change that to a torus, and then bang it, maybe. Oh, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird. So now she's multiplied with a torus shape, which is kind of weird. And
Have you played with combining the matrix with like noise matrices or plur objects or anything that could like displace the body?
Yeah, I mean you can combine matrices with any. You could totally do that, but not for this project.
Yeah.
It's already kind of jittery enough. So there's a lot that I played with, and then again, it's sort of like the same thing with the Shatner thing. It's like when it comes down to it, the piece was not especially this piece was not about like these flashy. There's one effect that I use whenever I wanted her to like look like she was happy. She sort of like glows a little. It glows a little bit, and that was just this little thing that I added. But for the most part, you know, it wasn't like it's not like a visual wow piece. It's like I really wanted people to kind of like I had people in there for like 20 minutes, just kind of like sitting and like they just watching. They wouldn't even talk, or people. This little girl was in there and like asking all these questions. So you wanted for this piece, I definitely wanted more of a suspension of disbelief, and so it wasn't. Yeah, I didn't really explore that so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so into that aspect of I don't do a lot of the kind of like eye candy stuff. I mean, I'm interested in it, but I just for the work that I do, it's a different focus, I guess. So, but yeah, that's that. I don't know what else I can say about this. But,
Did you say you projected it onto a mirror or something too?
For one of the versions we projected on a mirror. There were 2 mirrors actually. It went from mirror to wall.
Okay.
And that actually works amazingly well. Like I had no idea how. A friend of mine is a VJ, and he does the parties at the Natural History Museum, and they have this like big mirror ball that they like fill the space up with. I realized that that's all that projectors are mirrors. So you can keep adding the mirrors, and then you have to decide which mirror you focus on. You can focus on the mirror that you project on. You can actually see it, and you can focus on that, but then that makes the wall look blurry, that wherever it gets reflected to. So you can focus on the wall, and then the mirror looks blurry. But it was kind of cool. That was cool.
Do you have any video recording or capture of the actual live?
Yeah, I do. There's I'm not online right now, but there's it's on my Vimeo thing. Vimeo's there's not a lot there, but this is there. So, yeah, if you want to check that out, please do. I think Matt posted that for the page for this thing. So, yeah. Cool.
Any other questions? Cool. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
So we have this space for about another hour and a half if people want to use it. Like generally we can all just hang out, or if you want to work on programming or max patches and like just hang out with other people to do that too, and like show your stuff off or troubleshoot anything, or you're also welcome to go, obviously. Yeah, if you want to find out more information for our next one, generally the best thing to do is we have a Facebook page called New York City Patching Circle, and if you like that, then you'll get our updates. And like I said before, we generally do this maybe once a month or once every 2 months. And yeah, Sophie might be back and running it again for the next one, or it might be me, or it might be someone else. But thanks all for coming out, and yeah, have a good night.